Oh, hello there, and welcome to the Midweek Advice column with Snowkate. As you can tell, I am Snowkate, and I will be answering questions by the lovely people who watch these videos who have sent them in to me to answer. Because I am great at giving advice. Let's get into it, shall we? So I asked my middle school subscribers to send in questions they might have about their first week back at middle school. Now, I know middle school can be a crazy time, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer some of the questions that some of my middle school subscribers had. Here we go. First question is, finding my classes is hard. Any advice? Honest to goodness, if you get there early to school, go walk around. Like, just trace your steps through your classes. My first week of middle school, I proceeded to find the best option of how to get to my classes to the point where it would only take me a minute to get from class to class. But in order to do that, I had to get there early enough in order to walk the rooms as quickly as possible. Luckily enough, most teachers give you about a week to get used to it before they're really like, no, you must be on class on time. Which honestly is just ridiculous anyway. And if you have a teacher that talks like that, let me know, because I've had a few. Second question I have is, I don't feel comfortable dressing out in PE. Do you have any advice for me? So I had an issue dressing out in middle school. In fact, in middle school once, I got told I was going to hell while in the dressing room for PE. So what I ended up doing is I ended up changing in the bathroom for a while because it was just kind of uncomfortable feeling. And I actually took showers once or twice because I was in the first period, and oh my goodness, it was crazy trying to stay clean the rest of the day after gym. But it got to the point really where I got a lot more relaxed with it because I realized that everybody else around me is just as awkward as I am, and they all feel just as uncomfortable as I do. But if you really feel that uncomfortable, there's nothing wrong with going into the bathroom stall to change. And if people make fun of you for it, then you just need to tell them they need to leave you alone, because what's the point in having that kind of people in your life? Another question I had is it a good idea to date in middle school? My first boyfriend was my 7th grade year. I was in 7th grade and I was dating an 8th grader. And it was awkward as can be, to say the least. I did have my first kiss with that boy, and I did go to my first school dance with that boy. But dating in middle school really doesn't mean anything. If you really like somebody that much, then yeah, see about it. But dating in middle school is really just seeing each other in school and hanging out occasionally or with your parents' supervision. If you're going to really date and you want to date, I'd recommend waiting till high school because those relationships are a little more in depth. But even then, relationships don't really mean much until you get out of high school. And that's coming from somebody who graduated in 2017. Next question I had is, what should I do for my first dance and should I have a date? Dances were always awkward for me because I had a boyfriend my first dance, but he didn't like to dance, so he wouldn't dance with me. Best bet I find for first dances is, first of all, definitely go. Like, don't ever skip out on anything in middle school. It's not worth it. I mean, you want those experiences, trust me. But if you're going to go to a dance, go to a dance with a group of friends. That way you guys can all dance and have fun, and there's no getting stood up because some guy didn't want to dance with you. Or girl, whichever way you swing on that front. But, there's no point in doing that if they're just not going to dance with you. And then you end up feeling lonely and bored most of the night. Plus, having a date to a dance leads to way too many expectations that are just not worth it. So, best advice from me on that front, go with a group of friends. And you know what? Best thing about that is they're generally on the weekends, so sleepover! Do you have any advice on how to make friends with all the switching classes? So, that might be a bit strange. Now, when I first got into middle school, it was hard for me to make friends because I was switching classes all the time. But the thing is that a lot of the teachers that you have, so do everybody else. Yeah, you have different class periods, but there are 7 class periods a day, and if those kids are within the same group of teachers that you are, which every school has a group of main teachers, then you're going to end up seeing the same kids every 2-3 classes a day. And even if you don't, you're going to at least see everybody at least once a day. So make friends with whoever you think's chill. Honestly, the first week is the time to start feeling out, who's cool and who's chill. And by the end of the first month, you won't even remember how you guys became friends. How do you deal with homework in middle school? Well, homework in middle school for me was definitely kind of a culture shock, because before that I had kind of sailed through school, and then in middle school I actually jumped 2 grades, and I was taking Algebra 1, which is a 9th grade class, in 7th grade. And it kind of gave me a bit of a culture shock because it came with so much homework I was not expecting. So best advice I can give from that is, if you get homework, just go home and do it and get it over with. If you have extra time, like for example, if you have extra time at lunch while you're talking to your friends to do homework from your first 3 classes, do it and get it out of the way. And then that way when you get home, all you have to do is do your homework from your 5th, 6th, and 7th periods. Or just save it all till you get home, spend an hour doing homework, and then you're done with it. Because let's be real honest, if you're spending more than an hour on your homework in middle school, you are doing something else while doing your homework. And the last question I have is, I'm having trouble fitting in. Do you have any advice for that? I tried very hard to fit in middle school, and I tried to be what everybody else wanted me to be. But that's not who I was. And honestly, if you're trying to pretend to be somebody else just so that you can fit in with the cool kids, or with anybody for that matter, it's not worth it. Choose now to learn who you are and to become adept in that. And I promise you that you will have the best middle school experience of your life. Middle school is a time of change and adaptation. If you want to change yourself and who you really are just to fit in, nobody's going to care when you get to high school. Nobody's going to care in the real world. None of that matters. I have no friends from middle school. Actually, that's not true. I have one friend who I still have, who I was friends with in middle school. I have 2 friends who I was friends with in high school. And any other friends I've made after I graduated, and even so, they're not even that close of friends. I have one friend who's probably the closest person to me from high school, and she's like a sister to me. And then one friend from high school who's like a brother to me. And that's about it. I mean, it's not really worth spending all this time trying to fit in, when in all reality, you're not going to care about these people when you graduate. In fact, most of the people you go to middle school with, you won't even see in high school. They're really, I promise you. Half of them will go to a different high school, half of them will go to a different high school, half of them will go homeschooling, because let's be real honest, ain't nobody want to go to high school. Alright guys, so if you have any more questions that you want me to answer, feel free to shoot me a message either on my Facebook page at SnowKate, or you can send me an email at kdhollington@gmail.com, which you can go ahead and check that out in the description. I'll go ahead and put the email there. And you can always email me at that for any questions you have for the advice column, or anything you want to see at our Sunday sensitive subject. Or if you have a fun fact, send that my way too, because I do Friday fun facts as well. Keep in mind that starting this Sunday, I will start doing a vlog a day on top of everything else that has to do only with Chiari malformation, as September is Chiari Malformation Awareness Month. So keep in mind that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have questions you want to answer, let me know. Send me an email, send me a message, subscribe, like, share with your friends. I'm here to help you, even though it might be poor advice. Because let's be real honest. Who wants advice from me? Alright guys, if you want to subscribe, hit this button over here. If you want to see more videos, hit this button over here. And as always, have a wonderful day. I will see you next week. This is SnowKate signing off. I'll see y'all next time. I'm totally drinking wine. Drink responsibly, even if it's Dr. Pepper.